Hello friends. In this video, I'm going to show you how to play the Italian game, not the way grandmasters do, but based on my own interpretation of the suggestions given by the most powerful chess engines. What we'll look at next are just general ideas, where you'll learn how to play against the three most common responses Black gives to the Italian game. I repeat, we're only going over general ideas, as this is not a full course. What I can say is that the Italian game is one of the most classic and oldest openings in chess, and it's also one of the first openings that beginners usually study. Even so, modern grandmasters still use it quite often, which makes it an opening you absolutely should learn and master. And I'm here to guide you through that process. I have no doubt that you'll be able to grasp these general concepts in the Italian game. Let's start with the Giuoco Piano. E4, E5, Knight F3, Knight C6, Bishop C4, the Italian game, Bishop C5. This is the Giuoco Piano. C3. The obvious idea of this move is to continue with the pawn advance to D4, Knight F6, attacking the E4 pawn. D3. Defending the E4 pawn. D6. Short castling. Pawn to A6. This is to retreat the bishop to A7. And Black could also be preparing the pawn advance to B5 to attack our bishop. We will respond to this with A4 to prevent Black from playing B5. Bishop to A7, anticipating a possible pawn advance to B4 by White. H3, preventing Knight G4 from Black. The idea of White is to play Bishop E3. H6. This prevents White from bringing a bishop or Knight to G5. Black might also want to play Bishop E6 at some point. Bishop E3, offering Black the exchange of bishops. This is important because Black's dark-squared bishop is very powerful. Bishop takes E3. Pawn takes E3. We have double pawns on the E file, but in return, we have opened the F file for our rook. Short castling. Knight BD2, and this completes our development. We could continue with Queen E2, pawn to B4, and start looking for ways to attack our opponent. So this is how I recommend playing the Italian game with White, Giuoco Piano variation. Now, I will show you how to face the two knights defense playing the Italian game. E4, E5, Knight F3, Knight C6, Bishop C for the Italian game, Knight F6, the two knights defense. And now my suggestion is to play the quiet move D3, simply defending our attack pawn. In the past, Knight G5, the fried liver attack, was played more often, where White attacks the F7 pawn with both the bishop and knight. However, Black has a very active way to respond, through the move D5. Pawn takes D5, Knight to A5, Bishop B5 check, C6. Pawn takes C6, Pawn takes C6, Bishop D3, Knight D5, and in my opinion, White doesn't get much here, even having a pawn advantage. Black can activate aggressively and dangerously for us. Let's return to the main line. Bishop E7, the corresponding move for the two knights defense. I say this because it is very common to see Black play, in elite chess, the move Bishop C5, which transposes into the Giuoco Piano. Well, let's go back to the main line. Knight C3. This move is not the first choice of the grandmasters, and not even their second choice. It is barely the third choice, but it is my preference in this variation. We simply develop this knight to the best and most natural square. What grandmasters most often play are moves like short castling, or C3, in the style of the Giuoco Piano. Let's return to the main line. D6. With this move, Black is threatening to play knight to A5, which would remove our Italian bishop from the board. In this case, my recommendation is to play A4 simply to retreat our bishop to A2 when it is threatened. Short castling, Bishop G4, pinning our knight. H3, attacking the opponent's bishop. Bishop H5. In case of bishop takes F3, we continue with queen takes F3. Knight D4, attacking both the queen and the C2 pawn. Queen D1. C6, preparing the pawn advance to D5. Bishop to A2, anticipating the pawn advance of the opponent. Knight e6, bishop e3, followed by queen f3, and white would be in a good position. Let's go back to the main line. Knight d5, attacking the bishop, so that only white has the pair of bishops. Knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, knight d4, attacking our queen and the c2 pawn, queen d1, c6, attacking the bishop, bishop to a2, bishop g5, black wants to exchange bishops, bishop e3, bishop takes e3, pawn takes e3. We attack the knight and open the file for our rook. Knight e6, queen g4, and we could continue with rook f2, then rook a f1, and we would have an active position with good attacking chances. Without a doubt, it is an excellent position. I hope you have learned all of this. Now let's see how to play the Italian game against the Hungarian defense. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c for the Italian game, bishop e7. The Hungarian defense, where black prevents white from immediately playing the knight to g5, d4. Here, unlike the other two variations, we will play this pawn advance directly, as it allows us to gain control of the center of the board. d6, the most commonly used response at a master level. Black is willing to exchange queens if we play pawn takes e5 now. In case of pawn takes d4, we continue with knight takes d4. d6, knight c3, knight f6, pawn to a4 for bishop to a2, and white would be fine. We could continue with short castling, bishop f4, etc. Let's go back to the main line. d5. This is not the preferred move of grandmasters. They prefer to play d takes e5, but this is my recommendation based on how I interpret the chess engine suggestions, and I believe it's the simplest option for you. With this move, we directly attack the knight and gain space in the center of the board. Knight b8, intending to play knight bd7, bishop d3. My idea is to continue with the pawn advance to c4, consolidating the center control. Knight f6, c4, short castling. Knight c3. We could follow up with bishop e3 or bishop g5, and our position is much easier to play than black's. We would be better. I hope you've picked up some useful ideas from the Italian game and start using them in your own games. And of course, start winning more and gaining yellow points. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.